Hey, there we go. Good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live, right here on Mike Avery Outdoors, on my Facebook page, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. My name is Mike Avery, and I'm glad to have you along with us. As I am every Wednesday. Well, let me turn that off. Every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. What was that just came in? Let me check it, make sure. Oh, it says I'm live on YouTube. Imagine that. Imagine that. Brian's along with us, also known as Brain. Sean. Hey, Craig, my friend, how are you? Matthew, nice to have you along with us. Chris, always a pleasure. Brian, thanks for joining us. Hello, Martin, how are you? Let me see if I can just a tweak. There we go. Hey, Johnny, I just talked to Jordan. Thanks for the heads up on that. Tony, Craig always watches on YouTube. Now, why is that, Craig? Why do you watch on YouTube? Because you're watching it on your big screen TV, I bet. Hey, Mike, how are things in Arizona? Katie, nice to have you along with. Oh, it's not Katie, it's Cliff. You're in Facebook jail. Crown and Croak while you listen in. Jason, you know what's going in the overpriced Yeti when I get done here. Craig says, yep, he watches. Mad Jack always watches on YouTube as well. Tim, good evening. Oh, there you are. Tim, how are you? I'm doing well. Jerry, how are you? Bob, nice to have you along with us. Yeah, it was a sad deal. I'll get to that in a minute here. And usually YouTube is ahead of Facebook. Interesting. I heard that. John said he ran into you, Martin. And you ran into John, the official timekeeper. Ted, how are you? Waiting for good ice in Northeast Ohio. We got good ice all the way across, pretty much all the way across Michigan. But if you're waiting for good ice in Northeast Ohio, Matt, I got a feeling that maybe Southeast Michigan doesn't have good ice yet. Hey, John, I took care of that. Did you see it? Logan, always a pleasure. Anyway, my name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. Jim from Tennessee says hello. He's currently under a vehicle. Well, be careful with that, huh? I mean, like under a vehicle, hopefully on a creeper or something. Hopefully not just laid out on under a vehicle. YouTube, type on Facebook because Facebook lags. Huh? Interesting. My man, Big Mike, how goes it tonight, buddy? It goes very well, George. How are you? Okay, John, let me know because I said it was taken care of on my end using the email address that you sent me. Ray says Southeast Michigan has very little ice. Good to know. Hey, look at this. Tim Roller, the man, the myth, the legend. Oh, he says I'm the legend. Oh, I don't know about that, Tim, but it's nice of you to say. Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Always nice to have Jim Felgenauer. Hey, Jim, where's your picture? It wouldn't be an emoji, but your picture there. Jerry says, Mike, what day is it? Johnny says, Mike, what day is it? My friends, what day is it? What day is it? It's hump day. That's right. It's hump day. And you know what I just did? I have earphones in and I just hurt my own ears. Indeed, it is hump day. Oh, thanks for the effort I put into the show. Bill, what makes you think I put any effort into this? Pleasure to get to know it. Great. You got to chat with Mark Romanak. Yeah, Mark's a wonderful, tremendous guy, isn't he? Jason, heard your friend Tony's story about going through the ice on the podcast. He is a tough man. Tony's a tough guy, and that's the only reason he survived. He is a tough guy with a lot of training, and that's why he survived. Good evening, Jacob. How are you? I tried one day, I'd probably end up in Facebook jail. One day closer to the weekend. That's what it is. Stacy, hello. How are you? So what is on my very small brain this evening? Jordan Farmer losing another dog to wolves. I'll talk about that. In fact, Johnny Bowler just made me aware of this. I got to make myself a note. Before I don't forget. Baptist Church. Okay, so I don't forget. Jacob's ready to hit the ice. Johnny is on his phone. The volume's up, full blast, and he's in Dunham's. It's hump day. Good evening, Dan. How are you? Dina, nice to have you along with us. A lot of people I know were down there at the show. I don't doubt it. 45th Parallels checking in. Good evening, Stu. So anyway, Johnny made me aware of what happened to Jordan. I know Jordan. I've actually never met Jordan, but I know him because we've talked several times. The Saginaw River's on fire, Jacob says. That's interesting. By the Z Bridge down in Bay City? Where? Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. Good evening, Dan. How are you? I talked to a guy the other day who wouldn't rabbit hunt because the wolves are killing his dogs. I'm going to see if I can't get Jordan on the radio show next week. I wish I would have known. Well, I think it just happened today. Stacy says, yes. Tell. Where on the Saginaw River are things on fire? I'm going to show you a couple of pictures. Oh, I didn't know you worked with Jordan, Johnny. I didn't know that at all. I had no idea you worked with Jordan. Interesting. Two great guys working together. Grandfather went to the ice in Poland before World War II, went through the ice and their farm property. He says, I got to try to figure this out. He says, it's not the light you think you should look for when you go out. I still don't know what he means. I guess the snow on the ice, everything's black, or vice versa. Maybe he means, and this is maybe he means the light just before you almost die. Maybe it's that light. And I'm not kidding. North of the Z Bridge, about a half mile. I don't know, Jacob. I really don't. A bait hunter and a dog hunter. Yes, a bait hunter and a dog hunter are good friends. Hunting Time Expo. When is it? Don't plan on being there, though. Nothing against it, Jerry. I just don't plan on being there. I would suspect, based on the crowds that the other shows are getting right now, I mean, I hope it's a great turnout for the Hunting Time Expo, but the ATA show crowd was way down. The Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi was the crowds were down a little bit. I mean, I feel bad for the show span people. They're busting their tails to try to make these things happen, and they're at the mercy of a situation they have no control over. I wish Ross was on here tonight, Ross Elliott, because I'm hearing, good evening, Brent, how are you? I suspect Ross has company tonight. That's why he's not on. But he is supposed to go in about a week and a half now to Ontario on a wolf hunt. I don't know if that border is going to be open then. Ross is here. All right. Ross, what are you hearing on the border? Is it open now? Is it closed? I don't know. Rob, you tell me. Rob is there in White River. Rob, you would know. Is the border closed again? Any updates on the Wild Game Dinner? No. Except that it's Saturday, March 5th. What do you say, Rob? Oh, no, tickets are not for sale yet. I will let you guys know, Tony, when I find out. When you go inhale, the light says, okay. When you go under, the instinct is to inhale. Bad idea. Yes. The light looks the size of a postage stamp to your freezing eyeballs. I don't get that. Ross says he's not sure. He heard at the M65 bait shop it was closed. Amen to that, Stu. Hunt your hunt. Okay, Rob hasn't heard anything, but he's been in the snowplow for a week. Still, you'd know, Rob. I bet you would know. Oh, boy. So Ross is heading up to White River for a wolf hunt. Our friend Chris Durson of Rapid River Knives was out west. He shot a beautiful, beautiful mountain lion. Brent says the ATA was about down about half down in attendance. Yeah, I don't. So Brent, let me ask you this: you think there'll be another one next year? Because I've talked to folks who said there's no way they'll have another one next year. I got a bone to pick with them because I didn't go because they wanted to charge me $600 to walk in the door and promote their show. Great Day Fishing caused a 30-inch northern one of his tip-ups. Canada has a guy like our guy messing everything up. Gotcha. Oh, here, Jeff is helping me out. The hole you fell through looks the size of a postage stamp. I'm starting to get it. Thank you, Jeff. Just took me a while to get it through my old brain here. And, you know, the one thing good about that cold snap we had is it did make ice. Now, I have to admit, it felt pretty good today, didn't it? In my neck of the woods, 34 degrees. That was a welcome change. I'm too old to like that cold water. Beginning Saturday, you must have a vaccination card to enter. That's the way, but Larry, that's nothing different. It was like that in August when I went up there. When I went there in August, third week in August, you had to have a vaccination card. You had to prove you were vaccinated. So that's nothing different. Yeah, it's going to be cold again, though, isn't it? Friday and Saturday, yeah. But it's making ice, right? If you like to ice fish, it's making ice. One of these times, I'm going to remember to take that off the bottom of my cup. You got it? Okay. Excellent, John. Ross says it is open right now. Does Canada require boosters? That's a good question, Stu. I don't know. Larry says we cross daily. Oh, okay. So Larry is talking from a point of firsthand knowledge here. We cross daily, never been required of us until Saturday. Okay. That's weird, Larry, because when I went now, a physical card, is that what you're saying? You have to show them a physical card? Because when I went through, I used the app. But that's interesting. No indoor dining starts the 17th in Canada. Canada's a beautiful country, but the people who run it are absolute crazy. I mean, crazy. I think maybe worse than ours. Essential work, yes. Physical card. Okay, Larry, got it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, Ross, you see what Larry's saying? You have to have your physical card. There is a growing push to join the ATA with a shot show. Now, that might be a great idea. That might be a great idea, Brent. Hey, Ed, how are you, buddy? I'm thinking about my card. Do I have, let's see, I put my first card in the gun safe and I got a booster card somewhere. I don't know. Because I am hoping to go back there in August. By the way, speaking of August, when I was up there in White River bear hunting, I'm editing that video right now. I should have that done in the next few days. I think it's going to turn out pretty good. Turn out well. Very nice. Pretty good. I don't know what's the right way to say it. All right, let's talk about a couple of things here. The Pure Michigan Hunt. I did win. I don't know if you've heard this yet, but I did win. I was one of the 3 winners. They haven't drawn it yet. So if you're thinking, geez, I haven't heard anything from the DNR. No, you won't because they haven't drawn it yet. But I did win the Pure Michigan Hunt this year. They draw 3 of them. There you go. Mark said that's what his granddad was talking about. The hole looks dark and small. Got you. Reminds me of that tramp stamp you liked. What tramp stamp did I like? You should read that. No, I didn't, Johnny. What am I? All right, so let's talk about this. Jordan Farmer is a hardcore dog hunter. Happy Hump Day. Checking in on Instagram or on LinkedIn. My daughter, Shelby Avery Esquire, means she's a lawyer, says, Happy Hump Day. Mike, what day is it? It's Hump Day. Thank you, Woo. I think she's the first person who's ever watched on LinkedIn. So anyway, Jordan Farmer is a hardcore houndsman from the UP. I've had him on the show several times. And he's lost hunting dogs to wolves before. Now, I'm going to show you something here. And if you've got kids watching right now, maybe they're not real gruesome or graphic. It's not that. It's not like some of the pictures we've seen. But, just bring your little ones over and give them a big hug and tuck them under your arm for a minute here. So this is a post that Jordan, and see, I'll keep it kind of small too. Jordan put this on his Facebook page, and it shows one of his dogs that was killed by wolves today. And you can't see it, but this is actually video right here in the lower right. That's video of a wound another one of his dogs got. So he lost another dog. I think this happened just today. I didn't read the comments yet. And we'll see if I can get Jordan on the radio show next week to talk more about that. Okay, the little ones can come out now. Johnny says Steve Johnson, another Bear Friend dog owner, said should take. Oh, I see. People are, because there is a wolf. What's it called? The Wolf Advisory Committee or something like that coming up here in the UP in just, I don't know, a week or so. And people are saying, well, they should take that dog up there and throw it on the table. But here's the problem, folks. Whether or not we have a wolf hunt in the UP is not controlled by that wolf hunting commission. Oh, it's today. Today? Well, yeah, Ross, they do. They need to do something about it. But what do you propose the people in Michigan do? The DNR or the NRC? What can they do? Because this is in the, it's, let me think about this for a second. The antis got the wolf hunt in Wisconsin stopped. And I think because it stopped in Wisconsin, there's nothing we can do about it in Michigan. Martin says his uncle's been a certified diver for 50 years. They practice ice recovery. When they do, they clean the snow off the ice in the shape of arrows pointing towards the hole from all directions so they know how to get out. Interesting. Johnny says it's the 19th. It's the 19th. Jeff says simply stop investigating wolf kills. I hear you, Johnny. Everybody's sick of it. Everybody's sick of it. Hey, Kim, how are you? But the antis who have more money than God, and I think they probably worship money more than God, keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Stu says the advisory committee is focused on habitat and the health of the wolf population, not control of numbers. Follow their information reports. The health of the wolf population. A lot of people don't want a healthy wolf population. And again, the thing that brought this up is this post right here on Jordan Farmer's Facebook page. He lost another dog today. He was out bobcat hunting, and he lost another dog today to wolves, and he had a second one injured. Rick says the 3 S's. Everybody knows what that means. What? Shoot, shovel, and stand by? Shoot, shovel, and sing? I don't know what that means. And I'm not recommending that. I'm just posting a comment here. I'm just, I'm not recommending that. So don't say Avery said SSS, shoot, shovel, and shut up. No, I didn't say that. What county was he in today? I don't know. Johnny, do you know what county he was hunting? And Stu, if you go to Jordan Farmer's Facebook page, I suspect that he posted it, but I don't know for sure. Hey, Mike, how are you? Nice to have you along with us. Ed, I hear that from a lot of people. As a bird hunter, he's reluctant to hunt the UP. Here we go. Smoke a pack a day. Kill them all. Kill them all. And I'm not somebody who agrees with that. I think it's cool that we have some top tier predators in the UP. I think it's cool that we have cougars. I think it's cool we have some wolves, but obviously we have too many wolves. And the problem, in my opinion, with the wolves in Michigan's Upper Peninsula is that they have Schoolcraft or Alger. The problem with the wolves in Michigan's UP is they have no fear of man. Unlike Ontario, which in my limited experience, but I have experience there, when I have wolf hunted in Ontario, the critters up there know that they're being hunted. And they know that man is the top predator, and they have a healthy fear of man. In Ontario, in my experience hunting them, if they see you, hear you, smell you, suspect you're even there, and they're not coming in. But the wolves in Michigan, since they're not legally hunted, they have no fear of man. They think they're top dog, pun intended, and they need to be hunted to put a healthy fear of man into them. That's what I think. You're right, Jim. Wolves would be an excellent solution to the deer overpopulation problem in the suburbs of Ann Arbor. Absolutely. Well, listen, Paul, I gotta believe you because I've been watching Yellowstone and they don't like wolves out there either. Eric said he had a wolf come into a bear bait one year. He came in with 18 steps of be no fear at all. I've had wolves come into bear baits in Ontario, a young wolf, but I don't think it knew I was there. I had Johnny's had wolves come into his. Well, that's just it. When Fifi starts getting taken out of backyards, that's when things will change. Dean's saying the same thing. In the UP, he was bird hunting in the UP when a wolf stared him down on a 2-track. They have no fear of man. Yes. And that's just it. That's why I think we need to have a wolf hunt. To control the population, yes, but also to put a healthy fear of man into the wolves that are left out there. One more step, and it was going on a gain diet. On a gain diet. One more step, it was going on a gain diet. I think I know what you're saying. Grain? Like 180 grain? Is that what you're saying? Dave Bowler, Johnny's brother, says, no, they won't be hunted, Johnny B. The DNR will trap them and bring them back to the UP. A gun diet. He means lead. I kind of knew what he meant. Afraid to hunt UP because of wolves. Wolves keeping deer population in check. I'm sure this does not play any part in why the antis are so interested in keeping them. To quote a guy named Theodore Roosevelt, where there is a healthy wolf population, there is no room for the human hunter. And here lies the reason. Leave it to Jeff. Who, by the way, Jeff was out west and killed a mountain lion too. Yeah, you want to start here's how you start a lively conversation in Michigan. You talk religion, you talk politics, you talk deer management, or you talk wolves. That always gets people's opinion or interest. Can I tell you who's on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week to get off the wolf topic? Because it's not a situation that's going to get solved here on Wednesday Night Live. Bob Ransom joins me first on this week's show. And the reason I have Bob on, you'll know Bob's name. Bob is the guy who started the Ameristep company with one screw-in tree step. And look at how he grew that company. He grew it into a company that a big corporate conglomerate came along and bought it. Now, isn't that the American dream? Isn't that the American dream? A guy comes up with an idea, one product, and he starts a company that grows to be so successful that it's sold to a bigger company. The American dream. Well, Bob then had a non-compete clause. He couldn't do anything for 2 years. Bob's a very high energy guy, and he couldn't stand to sit around for 2 years. So as soon as that non-compete was up, Katie, I'm working on that right now, and I'm answering the question of who's on the show this week. Actually, Cliff. I know it's Cliff. It's not Katie. Bob Ransom from Primal Tree Stands. He talks about this is very interesting. It's called the Hangout. It's a 2-person ladder stand but rather than have the hunters sit side by side, it's angled. So they don't quite sit on opposite sides of the tree, but you've got a little elbow room between you. Think about this. I don't know what you mean, Ed. 2022, and we haven't heard from Dave Miner. I'm not sure what that means. So I'll go back to who's on the show this week. So this hangout stand looks pretty cool. They also have a new Vision ground blind, which looks very similar to the 270. Scott says, "Hey, Johnny, does your plow truck even notice when it hits a wolf?" Well, I am too, but I don't know what you mean saying you haven't heard from him, because we've had him on the radio show every week. Oh, Marianne checking in from Florida. How are things in Florida? I'm sure they're warm. So anyway, Bob Ransom joins me, and then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. In hour number 2, Lieutenant Jason Wickland of the DNR. Jason is the guy who is in charge of the recruit school. And they've got another recruit school coming up. You want to be a game warden? You want to be a conservation officer? Here's your chance. Michigan.gov/conservation officers, I think it is. And you have until, I think, the end of February, sometime in February. He was telling me stories that they don't get nearly the number of people who apply these days. They've got 15 openings across the state. And listen to this. He said they've actually had people in their 50s apply for the job. They had one guy who was 64 who wanted to apply. I'm 63, and there's no way in the world I would be interested in trying to get through the DNR's recruit school. Man, give him credit. Age is just a number, but there comes a certain point when you got to realize that a middle-aged to an older guy is not going to make it through a state police recruit school or a DNR recruit school. It's just not going to happen. Physically, it's not going to happen. I don't care how tough you are emotionally or mentally. You're not going to do it. But if you want to do it, all does today, Cliff says. Jim says he'd love to be a CO, but he already did 25 years as a LEO, a law enforcement officer. And this is interesting. When I used to hang around, well, I still hang around. When I used to be a volunteer conservation officer, a VCO, there would be the thought of trying to get a job as a game warden was a dream. You couldn't get it. They had thousands of people apply in there. It was not like it is now. That's true. If a person in their 50s could make it through, God bless them. And I agree with everybody who says, Jim, thank you for their service. Jeff, thank you for your service. Law enforcement officers, it's no secret. I am pro law enforcement. I grew up in a cop family. My dad was a cop for 35 years. If I wasn't doing this, it's probably the only other job that I could do. So 25 years ago, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, these numbers are coming. 25 years ago, there were 1,500 applications. Andrew, I don't think it was 25 years ago. Wasn't it much more recent than that? Mike, how are things in San Diego? Where's Jason's comment? Where'd you go, Jason? You could do it, Jason. Anyway, you want to be a game warden? You want to be a conservation officer? You think you're young enough or physically fit enough? Now's your chance. I did ask Lieutenant Wickland, I said, does somebody have to have an interest does somebody have to have some background knowledge of hunting and fishing to be a game warden? And he said, it sure helps. But he said if somebody was for some reason intent on being a conservation officer and they had no knowledge of hunting and fishing, which I can't imagine why you'd want to be a CO if you didn't hunt or fish, he said, we can try to teach them. Steve says he'd love to do it when he retires in 2 years, but he says, you're right, not doing another academy. One was enough, Steve. Jim says it's really hard finding. Hey, isn't it hard to find qualified people for anything, let alone law enforcement? And then you've got the whole anti-law enforcement thing on top of it. Since you mentioned it, Art says, I can't stop looking at that tag on my cup. I know. It drives me crazy. And then I forget about it until I pull the thing up and look at it and go, oh, that stupid tag's on there. It's got a QR code on it. I'm working on it. We may have. Don't say I never did anything for you. All that's on there left is now is just the gooey, gummy stuff. Wash it. Jason, what do you think this is? I make it a point of never washing my Yetis, my high-priced Yetis. My gosh, why anybody would buy one of these things? Not this particular one, but a Yeti. If I could charge advertising rates equivalent to what Yeti charges for a piece of gear that is no better than gear that cost half as much, I'd be rich. I would have retired a long time ago. I'm not saying Yeti doesn't make good stuff. I'm just saying it's overpriced. And the only Yetis I have are the ones that people bought me. And I appreciate when people who love me buy me Yetis. Had a birthday to celebrate. Who's Josh? Whose birthday? Was it a little one? I'll tell you why, Josh. If it was a little one, I got a surprise for him. You're right, Craig. That's why I never wash my Yetis, because Maker's Mark kills germs. They have great marketing. You're right. Oh, it's yours. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Josh. Happy hump day birthday to you. Hour and a half. I'm all wrapped. All right, Johnny. Some custom-made Mike Avery Outdoor Yetis. I would never pay the price for that. Anyway, happy birthday, Josh. First-class people. They're just like all law enforcement people. There's some great people and there's some idiots. Just because they're people. I did miss my calling. I could have been a lounge singer. Just like there's some bad cops, there's some bad office workers, there's some bad factory workers, there's some bad pastors. Because I'd like to think there aren't many of them, though. But when you get enough people in a group, you're going to have some bad eggs. Oh, I got so far off track. After Lieutenant Wicklund joins me on the show, Nick Green of MUCC checks in. MUCC has been pushing for a few years now to have Michigan hunting and fishing guides licensed. Now, you might say, well, charter captains already are. Yes, charter captains who run the Great Lakes or connecting waters, if you're going to take people out, you have to be licensed. I'm licensed as a charter captain. I pay money for that. I went through a class for that, so I'm licensed. But they're talking about people who guide on inland rivers, and not most especially, but in particular, people who are hunting guides. Now, you think about this. You do not have to be, there you go. The Ozarks are $8. Even bad radio hosts. Yes, Ross, you're right. And potentially bad lounge singers. Scott, exactly. An $8 Ozark. Do you really think you're going to wear out a Yeti? People say, well, it lasts forever. Any of these steel insulated things or coolers or whatever, you think waterfall guides have to be licensed? I don't know about that, Dave. Is it because they're on? See, that didn't come up in my conversation with MUCC today. Like bear guides, like Johnny Bowler, like Gary at Wild Game Dynasty. They don't have to be licensed. Josh, I tell you what, I highly recommend it, and I would recommend Great Lakes Charter Training. You do not have to be a charter captain to participate in it's not Wounded Warrior. If you're talking about the Walleye for Warriors on Saginaw Bay, Bob says on the water they do. Going back to this, if you're talking about the Walleye for Warriors, you do not have to be a captain, a licensed charter captain, to be a boat captain on the event. So no, you don't have to be. If the waterfowl guide takes you on a boat, I don't know what that is, Tim. I don't know, but people are saying that, yeah, you do have to be licensed. Mike was on Saginaw Bay perch fishing this morning. The guy next to him got nailed for 37 perch over his limit. He wasn't counting. He didn't keep track. Not according to MUCC. Stu says they have to be a licensed, insured, and certified in first aid to guide. Licensed. Licensed by who? This is interesting because I'm getting conflicting reports here. Yes, June 11th and 12th. If you run bear bait, you need a license. See, I don't get this because MUCC is telling me that's not the case. So why spend 6 years pushing for something that, according to you guys, it's already happening? I got to learn more about this. I'll follow up on this. I will follow up on this. Huh. All right. So where else are we at? Anyway, talking about the radio show. And then in hour number 3, Lance Keene of Steelhead Hunter Charters. Lance runs steelhead and salmon charters on Lake Michigan. Good evening, Lee. How are you? Licensed by the state to guide fly fishermen on the Asable. All right, I got to do more. All right, well, thank you for keeping me straight on this, keeping me honest. I'll do some checking into this. A bunch of guides on. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to be out on Saginaw Bay, you got to be licensed. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. All right. Lance Keene, actually, this time though, he's in Isla Mirada, Florida. Jeff Hammond, and he talks about fishing for tarpon. To take customers on inland waters, you need to be a registered guide with the state, not the DNR or U.S. Coast Guard. Okay. So what is MUCC talking about? Because Nick told me today, you'll be there Friday. Nice. Nick told me today that they were talking, because I asked him the question. I said, Great Lakes charter captains have to be licensed. He says, yeah, I'm not talking about that. He's talking about people who guide inland for fishing and hunting. All right, let me follow up with Nick Green at MUCC on that. And of course, we wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dave Miner, going back to the radio show again. Okay, so once again, I did win the Pure Michigan hunt. You might not have heard it yet. In my mind, I'm already getting ready for turkey season. Charter captain your boat, guide my boat. Charter captain your boat, guide my boat. Jason says, as of this writing, the DNR only requires a free permit application process. Okay, here we go. The DNR only requires a free permit application process for hunting guides to operate on state-managed public lands. Michigan requires no fees, training, or any type of general insurance to lead a guided hunting or inland fishing trip other than a state inland pilot's license. See, this is what I'm talking about, Jason. This is exactly what Nick told me. I'm still here. I'm over there. Thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate that. You, the captain. Yeah, thank you, Bonnie. And remember, folks, this conversation we had last week about Proposal G and all this stuff. Jim, who was on here, Jim Felgenauer, who was on with us last week, reminded me of an email that he had sent me. 3 pages long, going into detail on this. And since I forgot to print it out in a bigger font, I can't read the darn thing without glasses on right now. So I can't get into it. So whoever was saying, Mike, we appreciate how much preparation and work you do on these Wednesday Night Lives. Obviously, I don't, or I would have been better prepared for this. I will get to this though. Very, very. No, I won, Jeff. I won. They didn't draw it yet. Here's the distinction. Jeff said, "Did you actually win or just talking? Just talking." I did win, but nobody knows it yet, including the DNR, because they haven't drawn it yet. Starting 2022 Angler Quest pontoons and Apex Marine. Oh, you're starting to build the 2022s. Excellent. It was a long conversation. Gene works at Apex Marine, and they're starting to build the 2022 Angler Quests. Excellent. Am I going to gift you the elk tag? No, but I'll give you all the waterfall tags that I win, Jeff. Speaking of, no, Tony. No, it's true. I did win. I did an Angler Quest podcast today with Lance Valentine of Teaching Fishing, by the way. Robert, good evening. How are you? No, honestly, I did win. Nobody knows it yet, but I did win. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my soul. Grandson Spencer. I would sing to you, Spencer, but I don't want to ruin your young ears because your young ears are still sensitive and you're going to need them for a lot of years. So I won't sing to you, Spencer. But grandson Spencer, Daniel's grandson Spencer, happy 8th birthday to you, buddy. I hope you had a great day. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Oh, well, Jeff, I hope you do. Jason said it's a change in the weather, I feel. Josh won. So Josh, you're a waterfall hunter. I will give you my waterfall tags. Unless I read it. There's Gary right there. Gary, help me out. Gary would know this. Unless I read an old Facebook message, did Farmer Brothers lose a hound? Yes, they did, Gary. We were talking about that earlier. In fact, here is the post you're talking about. And that was posted today. Yeah, they lost more hounds. So Gary, help me out here. Gary Morgan from Wild Game Dynasty. MUCC is pushing for Michigan hunting, and they say inland fishing guides to be licensed, because they say you guys do not have to be licensed now. Are you, Gary? Is that the case? Am I misunderstanding this? Are you actually licensed at this point? John says he feels something in his bones too. He thinks it's just a cold. I'm ready for spring turkey too. Well, Jack, I'm just pretty happy that I won. I mean, I've been applying for a lot of years. So the fact that I actually won the Pure Michigan hunt this year, it's pretty cool. Waiting to hear from Gary Morgan at Wild Game Dynasty, wildgamedynasty.com. Mike Spencer says thank you, or Spencer says thank you. You're welcome, big guy. Before we wrap this up, okay. You are licensed, Gary. So, gosh, man, I got to follow up on this. Then. Because, yes, you are licensed guides. Is it voluntary, Gary? Is that what it is? And maybe MUCC wants to make it mandatory? Now I really need to follow up on this. March 1st, I thought it was March 7th. Pull up a calendar here. Oh, actually, it's the 2nd. Oh, I've been given the wrong date. No, I've been saying it's the first Wednesday in March, which is March 2nd. I'm looking forward to it, too. I don't know. All right, Stu. I got to follow up on this. I'm going to make myself a note right now. Bear with me while I make myself a note. Thursday. Follow up on MUCC guide license. All right. Now I'm very confused, which is not hard, but I hate it. Hey, Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters, my friend. Ron, I was telling earlier, I'm in the process of Ross. I thought you already had a table booked. Ron, I'm in the process of editing the video that I shot with you guys last August. And I think it's going to turn out really nice, really nice. So, and a plug right now for Ron St. Louis. If you want to go bear hunting in Ontario or any place other than Michigan, but Ron is in Ontario. If you've been looking for a hunt, I can strongly recommend Ron St. Louis at Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters, northernwildernessbearoutfitters.com. Oh, I won't. When I make these notes, they go to my laptop, they go to my phone, they go to my watch. No, I know where they're at, but I will follow up on that. Sauble River starting to freeze. Anyway, Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters.com. Check them out. There's a first rate. You're looking for a wolf hunt, Brian? Again, the guys in White River. I think you can book them through Ron. Ron, you're booking wolf hunts, right? Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters.com. Great job. Great job they do. All right, my friends, I've actually gone a minute over. Ross says he would highly recommend Ron St. Louis also. Been up there for the last 7 years. I've harvested a bear every year. Can I recommend a charter boat out of St. Joe? Yes. Yes, I can. Let me pull up my contacts here. Russ Clark. I'll even give you his number. 269-208-3923. 269-208-3923. Russ Clark. See? I do have some information here for you. Sometimes there's confusion, but I also have information. Bob says, I think if you guide out of a boat, you need to have a captain's license. If you're running clients off land or wading streams, it's voluntary. If your client's hunting wise out of a boat, they have to I don't know. It's all very confusing, but I will follow up with Nick Green at MUCC. In fact, depending on what he says, I might have him back on the radio show next week, because this is obviously a confusing issue. And if there's one thing I hate, and I actually did this last week too, I'd like to think that you come here for entertainment and information and some education. And occasionally we get into a subject that actually makes things more confusing or clouds the issue. I hate that. I put that squarely on my shoulders, and that sticks in my craw. I hate that. So when that does happen, on those hopefully rare occasions where it happens, I will do my best to figure things out, get to the bottom of things, and straighten things out. All right, my friends. My website, by the way, is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Speaking of that, I never did get to this week's Ask Avery segment. Oh, Jim says the In Fisherman Sturgeon segment on Outdoor Channel this week. Jim is featured in that. Be sure to check it out. All right, my friends, have a great night. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live.